Breaking overnight, Russia attacked Ukraine with a barrage of drones and missiles, including a new hypersonic ballistic missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead.
Russia carried out yet another attack on Ukraine overnight. The Russian hypersonic missile, which can carry multiple warheads and fly 10 times the speed of sound, was part of the strike on Kyiv and other targets.
In a fiery inferno, a desperate search for survivors. Emergency crews battle sub-zero conditions as the strikes kept coming.
January 8th, 2026. Russia launched a missile that can't be stopped. It traveled at Mach 10. That's 10 times the speed of sound. NATO's billion-dollar air defense systems? Useless. American interceptors? Might as well be throwing rocks. And here's the kicker. Russia warned us it was coming. They called Washington 3 hours in advance, not to ask permission, to make sure we didn't start World War III by accident. You know what the Trump administration did with that warning? Told their people in Kyiv to stay indoors. Then went right back to tweeting about annexing Greenland. I wish I was joking. While a nuclear-capable hypersonic weapon screamed across Ukrainian airspace, the President of the United States was threatening to invade Denmark, our NATO ally, a country that's been with us since 1949. This is where we are in January 2026. We're closer to nuclear war than at any point since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the man with the nuclear codes is too busy playing Monopoly with the map of Europe to notice he just pushed Russia past the breaking point. Buckle up, because what I'm about to show you didn't make the evening news, and it should scare the hell out of you. December 28th, 2025. Most Americans were nursing their Christmas hangovers. The news cycle was obsessing over Trump's latest cabinet drama. And the CIA tried to kill Vladimir Putin. Let me be clear. A swarm of American-supplied drones attacked Putin's official residence outside Moscow. You didn't see it on CNN. You didn't see it trending on X. The mainstream media buried it under 7 layers of nonsense about Hunter Biden's art collection. But here's what actually happened. And I'm pulling this from multiple intelligence sources and a former CIA analyst who knows exactly how these operations work. Those drones weren't aiming for Putin's bedroom. They were targeting the command bunker beneath the residence, the facility that controls Russia's nuclear response, the literal button that launches their ICBMs. A Ukrainian official later admitted, off the record thinking he was being clever, quote, "That's why the Russians went ballistic. It wasn't about killing one man. It was about severing their nuclear command chain." Stop and think about what that means. The United States coordinated a strike designed to cripple Russia's ability to retaliate against a nuclear attack. We tried to decapitate their deterrent while Putin wasn't even home. Now flip the script. Imagine Russian drones hitting the bunker under the White House. Imagine them trying to cut our nuclear command. What would Fox News call that? What would Trump call that? An act of war? The start of World War III? A reason to turn Moscow into a parking lot? But when we do it, Trump's national security team calls it supporting Ukrainian territorial integrity. The American people deserve better than this gaslighting, and it wasn't a one-off. June 2025, U.S. intelligence helped Ukraine strike Russia's strategic bomber bases. Not munitions depots, not troop concentrations. The airfields where Russia parks its nuclear-capable Tu-95 bombers. The FSB said Mi-6 led the operation, but everyone knows the CIA doesn't sit out operations like that. We're systematically attacking Russia's nuclear infrastructure while Trump tweets about how smart he is for avoiding wars. So Moscow's dealing with an attempted presidential assassination and attacks on their nuclear deterrent. And what does Trump do next? He orders the Navy to hijack a Russian oil tanker in the middle of the Mediterranean. January 3rd, 2026. U.S. Special Forces boarded a civilian vessel flying the Russian flag in international waters. The crew, 2 Russians, 8 Georgians, and 20 Ukrainians, were just trying to deliver oil. These weren't soldiers. They weren't spies. They were merchant sailors doing their jobs. And get this, the Russian captain and the Ukrainian deckhands weren't fighting. They were working together. Because guess what? Normal people don't want war. Governments want war. Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov called it what it was: piracy, a violation of international maritime law, an act of aggression. He went on Russian TV and absolutely scorched the U.S., saying we'd abandoned any pretense of respecting international norms. Trump's State Department response? We don't recognize the legitimacy of that vessel's flag registration. Oh, so we're just making up the rules now? We get to decide which ships are legitimate? We're the world's maritime judge, jury, and executioner? Here's the part that would be hilarious if it wasn't terrifying. The US released the 2 Russian sailors, sent them right back to Moscow. But the 8 Georgians and 20 Ukrainians? Federal criminal charges in America for the crime of sailing on a Russian-flagged ship. We committed an act of piracy, then prosecuted the victims. That's not foreign policy, that's a mob shakedown. And Trump thinks this project's strength. His supporters are cheering this as America first. But Russia's response is predictable and rational. If the Americans can board our ships, we'll arm them. And next time your helicopters come, we shoot first. Congratulations, Mr. President. You just militarized global shipping lanes. Every Russian tanker will now carry special forces. And when the shooting starts, and it will, you'll act shocked and blame Putin. So, on January 8th, Russia sent a message. They launched an Oreshnik hypersonic missile at a target in western Ukraine, near the Polish border. No warhead, no explosion, just kinetic impact. A demonstration. The specs, Mach 10 velocity, 3,400-mile range, capable of carrying nuclear warheads. And here's the fun part. Completely unstoppable by any missile defense system in NATO's arsenal. Russia called Washington 3 hours before launch. They said, "We're firing an intermediate-range missile into Ukraine. It's not an ICBM. Don't panic and launch a counterstrike." Because they didn't want a misunderstanding to trigger nuclear war. Let that sink in. Russia, the country we're told is run by a madman, showed more restraint and more concern for avoiding nuclear conflict than we did. They warned us. They confined the strike to Ukraine. They avoided civilian targets. Meanwhile, we're trying to kill their president and seizing their ships without warning. And Trump's response to the Oreshnik launch? He tweeted about NATO countries being delinquent on their payments. Russia just proved they can hit any European capital in 10 minutes and Washington in 15 with a weapon we cannot intercept. And you're posting about invoices. Let me explain why the Oreshnik exists, because this is the part the media won't tell you. In 2002, George W. Bush withdrew the United States from the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. That treaty existed for one reason, to prevent exactly the kind of missile defense arms race that makes nuclear war more likely. Russia warned us for 20 years. They said, if you build a shield in Europe, we'll build missiles that go around it. The logic was simple. If you can shoot down my nukes after I've been destroyed, then nuclear weapons stop being a deterrent and become a first strike option. We ignored them. We built the shield. So Russia built hypersonic missiles. And now Trump, who campaigned on ending forever wars, who bragged about being tougher than Biden, has pushed us closer to nuclear conflict than we've been in 60 years. Why? Because his administration genuinely believes international law doesn't apply to America. Because Stephen Miller goes on TV and says treaties are suggestions. Because Marco Rubio openly mocks the concept of diplomatic norms. And Russia's watching. And they're thinking, if America won't follow the rules, why the hell should we? Here's the darkly comic part of all this. While Russia's building a military force of over 2 million troops, not for Ukraine, that war is basically over, but for the NATO war they think is coming, Trump is personally destroying the alliance. He's threatening Denmark. Denmark, a founding NATO member, an ally since World War II, a country that sent troops to Afghanistan alongside us. And Trump's talking about taking Greenland by economic or military means. The Danish Prime Minister called it absurd. Trump called her nasty and difficult. And now Denmark's deploying what little military they have to Greenland to defend against us, against the United States of America. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, a right-wing leader who should be Trump's natural ally, is publicly calling for direct negotiations with Russia. A French legislator went on TV and said, maybe France needs to withdraw from NATO before Trump drags us into a war we didn't vote for. In Germany, a member of the Bundestag said, we cannot rely on American protection anymore. We need to talk to Moscow. NATO is fracturing, in real time, and Trump's doing it faster than Putin ever could. A former CIA analyst I interviewed said it perfectly. If I'm advising the Kremlin right now, I'm doing everything possible to encourage NATO's collapse, but I wouldn't need to do much. Trump's doing the work for free. Napoleon supposedly said, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. Russia's taking that advice. They're watching Trump bully allies, threaten territorial conquest, and turn a mutual defense pact into a protection racket. And they're staying quiet, because why would you stop him? For 30 years, Russia's biggest strategic concern was a unified NATO. 32 countries with nuclear weapons and Article 5 mutual defense. But Trump's turning that advantage into a liability. and Putin's probably sending him a thank you card. Trump keeps telling us he's 90% done with a Russia peace deal, that he has a great relationship with Putin, that only he can end this war because he's such an amazing negotiator. But let's look at what's actually happening on the ground. Not the press releases, not the photo ops, the reality. U.S. generals at Ramstein Air Base in Germany are still planning Ukrainian operations. The CIA is still coordinating strikes on Russian refineries and infrastructure. American satellites are still providing targeting data for missiles hitting Russian territory. We're still sanctioning countries that trade with Moscow. We're still seizing Russian assets and ships. And Trump wants us to believe he's negotiating peace? This isn't diplomacy. This is theater. Here's what actual peace negotiations would look like. I'm getting this from people who've done this for decades. 1. Appoint a real ambassador to Russia, not a campaign donor, not Jared Kushner's college roommate, a seasoned diplomat with direct access to the president. We haven't done that. 2. Restore direct flights between Moscow and Washington. You can't negotiate if your diplomats need 3 connecting flights and 18 hours to have a conversation. We haven't done that. 3. Reopen Russian consulates in New York, San Francisco, and Houston. Let normal diplomatic contact resume. We haven't done that. 4. Return the seized Russian diplomatic properties in Washington and New York. Show 1 ounce of good faith. We haven't done that. Instead, Trump sends Steve Witkoff, a real estate guy, and Jared Kushner to have informal talks. These aren't negotiations. This is a PR stunt designed to make it look like Trump's doing something while the war machine keeps running at full speed. And Putin knows it. He's not stupid. He sees the pattern: talk peace publicly, wage war privately, shake hands for the cameras, launch strikes in the shadows, promise restraint, attack nuclear command centers. Russia's response? They're preparing for the war they're convinced is inevitable. Because from Moscow's perspective, every American promise is a lie. Every treaty is worthless. Every handshake is a setup for betrayal. Let me bring this full circle. Over the past few months, the United States has attempted to assassinate a nuclear-armed leader, attacked strategic nuclear infrastructure multiple times, seized foreign vessels in international waters, threatened military action against NATO allies, and let every major arms control treaty collapse. And the president wants credit for keeping America safe. This isn't safety. This is recklessness with a body count we haven't seen yet. Trump campaigned on ending forever wars. He mocked Biden as weak and ineffective. He promised to restore American strength and respect. And what did we get? We pushed Russia completely into China's arms. We fractured NATO beyond recognition. We militarized global shipping. We made nuclear war more likely than at any point since 1962. And we proved to every nation on Earth that America's word means absolutely nothing. This isn't America first. This is America alone. And here's what keeps me up at night. Most Americans have no idea any of this is happening. They're arguing about grocery prices and gas taxes. They don't know that Russia just fired a hypersonic missile our defenses can't stop. They don't know that NATO is collapsing. They don't know that the treaties preventing nuclear war are dead. Because the media's too busy covering Trump's latest fight with some celebrity or his plans to buy Greenland. They're treating this like a reality show instead of the Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0. The Oreshnik missile was a warning. Russia said, "We can reach you anywhere, anytime, and you cannot stop us." And they said it without killing anyone. That's restraint. We tried to kill their president. We attacked their nuclear deterrent. We stole their ships. And Trump has the audacity to call that peace through strength. Here's the truth nobody in Washington wants to admit. If nuclear war happens in 2026, it won't be because Putin's irrational. It'll be because American leadership decided the rules don't apply to us anymore. That we can do whatever we want because we're the strongest. And Russia will respond. Not because they want war, but because we've made it clear that negotiations are fake, treaties are jokes, and the only language we understand is force. This story isn't over. It's accelerating. Russia's manufacturing more Oreshniks. NATO's fracturing faster every week. And Trump's negotiations are going exactly nowhere while the drumbeat toward conflict gets louder. I'll keep investigating this. I'll keep bringing you what the mainstream media won't touch. Because you deserve to know what's actually happening while the news gives you bread and circuses. If this matters to you, if you think people should know we're sleepwalking toward catastrophe, subscribe. Share this video. Leave a comment with your take. Because the establishment media has decided you don't need to know any of this. But I disagree. You deserve the truth. And the truth is, we're closer to the edge than most people realize. I'll see you in the next one. Stay awake,